So something that's coming out here recently and then has been really developed further is something called Power over Ethernet. And then later came Power over Ethernet Plus. Now, this is something I actually searched the internet for and YouTube because I wanted to find information that really gave a very quick but explanation of what Power over Ethernet is, because I was actually using it at work this summer. And there's nothing out there, especially on YouTube. Now, you can get some really good documentation, explanations on forums, but I thought to give it in a video format would be great. So let's get into it. Power over Ethernet is really cool because it basically allows you to get internet with power through a single line. Many of us know what the cat wire is. It's a usually blue coloring on it, and it's 8 strings of copper inside a little box. Basically, it's used for everything. It's called, right now the standard is Cat 5e, but a lot of schools and businesses are putting Cat 5a in, or Cat 6a and Cat 6. Usually right now Cat 6 is the main future, protected industry wire for internet and stuff. But anyway, one cool thing that Power over Ethernet has is, for instance, if you have a Cisco phone, you plug just the Ethernet jack into the phone, and it is powered by the power in the switch or a Power over Ethernet adapter that's plugged, in the middle between the switch and the IP phone. So you only have one wire going into the phone, and it's allowing communication to go through it, and it's allowing power to go through it, which is incredible. I think it's a really smart advancement. Now, Cisco and other companies have come out with switches that have, like I said previously, that have the Power over Ethernet plug, built right in. So the power comes in the back of the box, so does the other internet wires, and then out comes the power with the Ethernet and the internet all combined in one cord. There's no special wires needed. You just need a special box or a Power over Ethernet adapter. Now, I got some numbers here on the power wattage and everything. I'm not going to try to bore you guys too much, but just some quick statistical facts. So Power over Ethernet really can only be used on Cat 3 and above, and that's just for very minimum low power. Usually, I think the standard, it said maximum 5 watts. So really, but who's really using Cat 5e anymore? I mean, come on, right? So the other one is Cat 5 and above is for higher power. And this is what's really, really common. Even when we're tearing out old systems at the school, they have Cat 5e. I'm guessing you'd have to be 5 or 6 years back to be looking at Cat 5 in a building or business. And really, Cat 5e is so cheap, why wouldn't you just go for Cat 5e? Anyone putting this type of stuff in a business or school or home is going to go up because future is coming and speeds are increasing and you really need it. So high power is nice, but what does that mean? Well, there's a whole big long name. It's called the IEEE 2003 standard, was when it really started to become prevalent. And that allowed Cat 5e and Cat 5 wire to go up to 15.4 watts of power. Theoretical. Now, there's a lot of things where we say theoretical, and then what do you actually get out of it? Like, theoretically, I can run for 2 hours. Practically, I don't know if I can run for 2 hours. So, theoretically, you can get 15.4 watts. Practically, though, it can get about 12.95, usually rounded up to 13 watts, which is pretty good. That usually covers things as IP phones, IP clocks, sometimes lower-end surveillance cameras, the things that, again, use low power in their usage and in their device formats. Now, in the IEEE 2009 standard, this is when Power over Ethernet really became prevalent. And Power over Ethernet is really awesome because this allows a higher amount of power to go through these Ethernet wires, and they allow the ability for Power over Ethernet adapters and switches to be able to handle enough power to send through those lines. Now, it's quoted to be able to go up to 25.5 watts. Most devices that you find, even IP phones I think will use like 7 watts. The really, really high quality video cameras, surveillance cameras that you put up in a building, IP cameras, use like 19 max. I don't think I've ever seen one go over 20. There are some devices that they're pushing out. I know one of my bosses, Chris, told me about how HP is working on a thin client that actually is powered by Power over Ethernet, and it uses like 22 watts or whatever, which is ingenious. I think it's great. That way you don't have to worry about power cable. And if you've ever worked in a school or probably even a business, you realize those cables get really messed up. I mean, we every summer make them look amazing, and then kids come to that school and just, I don't know how they do it. We make these cables almost impossible to mess up, and trust me, they find a way. It's crazy. Now, I did put a note on here. If you use all 4 strands, and I'm gonna explain cat wire real quick. Cat wire has 4 strands, or actually 8 wires, 8 copper wires. But they're pairs of 2, 2, 2, and 2. So when I talk about 4 strands, I'm talking about using all the wire in the cable. Just kind of a little bit of general background. So I have a note here that says all 4 strands of Cat 5 and above can give up to 51 watts of power. But when I was writing this down, it really kind of made me question it, because if you're using all 4 strands, no data can go over those strands. So yeah, it'd be great, if you want to power something that, if you had a 49 watt bulb, I don't know why you want to do that, or a nightlight or something that used a network, jack plug or Ethernet slot plug. Never heard of one, but I guess you could make one. Then yeah, theoretically you could plug Ethernet in and get full 51. That's theoretical, so you're probably going to get like 45 practical, 45 watts of power. I think we're going to have to wait for some future development of devices to really support that. But it's a great innovation. When they put these in these standards, they aren't saying here's how they're going to be used. They're saying, hey, here's theoretically how you would do it. Here you go, companies. Figure out how you would practically make this into a device, or how you would incorporate this into your existing device or your future planned devices. So again, it's a standard 2009 up till right now. It's September 2013. Nothing's really been developed yet that really maximizes use over like 30 watts, I believe. There's some very, very finite devices, but they're usually used in server operating rooms and stuff, so nothing on the commercial end that you would see in a home or a business for practicality use for the end user. So then I kind of had a list of some devices that use power over Ethernet. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a broad spectrum. I think I already covered a lot of these. Wireless access points, that's another big thing. Our school, put in new wireless access points, and they're powered over Ethernet, which makes it so much nicer, because you literally have one cable coming out of the ceiling, and I've actually rewired ceilings this summer, so not the funnest thing in the world, but it's actually kind of fun to learn how to rewire ceilings and wiring. You basically, all you have to do is have the Ethernet plug in the router, or the access point as they're officially called, and it just gets the power, and it charges itself up. It sends the command line back to the, sometimes there are servers. Some of these newer systems are kind of clustered, so they don't need servers, or operating systems at the main central hub that say, hey, I'm da-da-da-da-da-da, my IP address is da-da-da-da-da, can I become an access point? And then they communicate now that the device has power. You have devices such as clocks, like I said before, outdoor antennas. You see this a lot in Ubiquiti, I think is how you say it. It's some wireless company. I really like their products. They're really, really nice. And all their antennas and wireless receivers and transmitters all are completely powered over Power Ethernet by PoE adapters. Pretty sweet. It's going to be really great for off-site or outdoor locations where you don't have to run a separate power cord or run an outlet jack and set an outlet right by outside. It gets kind of messed up. So it's kind of nice that you have a lot of devices that are able to use Power Ethernet. Yeah, and then hallway control systems. The school and the fire systems and stuff have the ability to use Ethernet power, but you'll notice a lot of these times the emergency response systems are backed up with backup power. They have Power Ethernet, regular power, and then what we call red line backup power, which means if the generator kicks on, that's a device that can pull from the generator power. So usually they're the red plugs. You'll see them in hospitals, schools, in server rooms. You'll see them. Anything that's really, really important, either life-saving or critical to the infrastructure, are usually what they call red plug. So this is kind of a little background knowledge. Yeah, and then they had them built in. I have some stuff about strands in here. So basically, that's it. Power Ethernet, amazing. You really don't see it too much on the consumer end yet, but trust me, it's coming. It's just you got to give people time, because routers right now, the home router doesn't have power over Ethernet, and no one is going to go out and buy power over Ethernet adapters, or what we call PoE adapters. So we're going to have to wait till we get some home routers that really start to utilize power over Ethernet. I do think, though, in the next 10-15 years, if not the next 5 years, Power Ethernet is going to become something that is common. It's going to become something that a lot of people utilize because of its ease of use. I mean, now you don't have to worry about, oh, do I have an outlet next to my Ethernet, outlet, or can I just plug this into an Ethernet cord and boom, it has power and internet connectivity. That's pretty sweet. I hope I informed you guys on Power Ethernet and Power Ethernet Plus. Have a great day.